What's going on, guys, and welcome to Who to Sign For. Now in this series I'm giving you my recommendations on what players to sign for a specific team in career mode, and before we go on I will say that the signings you'll see aren't designed to be realistic and the player ratings and potentials of the players may vary depending on what database you're using and how they perform for you during the season. Obviously you don't have to follow all the tips. This is really just a set of guidelines to give you a hand if you're stuck for ideas and want some suggestions on what players you could sign for a certain club, and this is mainly aimed at those of you who may be new to the game, just need a little bit of advice, or those of you out there who just want a few recommendations for what signings to make for a specific side in career mode. As you can see in today's video, we're going to be looking at Liverpool. So this is a video on who to sign for a Liverpool career mode. Now their budget is £39.5 million and the aims for Liverpool are to reach the final of a domestic cup and also qualify for the Champions League. And with £39.5 million, both of those aims are totally doable. Now you may look at the squad and think it's not as good as some clubs in the Premier League, but one thing that's definitely worth noting with Liverpool is that their average age of the squad is not too old at all. There are a lot of young talented players in this squad as well, and with enough nurturing with the player training feature as well, you could get a very good squad come the end of a couple of seasons down the line. So you can take a look at Liverpool squad report right here, some very decent players, and you may think that it's lacking like a world star, for example, a world-class player, but with Liverpool, the point is you can grow those players yourself. You've got players in this team that got some good potential for the future, some good signings made by Brendan Rodgers over the summer, good additions to the squad already, players like Coutinho, for example, who are already here, looking very good on the game as well. With Liverpool, you don't have to spend all of your money on like a ton of really good players. You've got good young talent already coming through the ranks that you can develop yourself with the training feature, in addition to the signings that Brendan Rodgers made over the summer regardless. So the squad looks like this when you load up the game, and it looks pretty decent. Obviously, again, depending on what database you're playing on, the player ratings may vary, but it still looks pretty decent. As for contracts, Liverpool have quite a few players that are running down their contract at the moment. The only player that I would recommend giving a new deal to is John Flanagan. You see there's quite a few young players there, but I don't think too many of them have the potential to succeed. I think Brannigan might do alright, but the rest of the players, not too great. I'd only recommend signing Flanagan to a new deal. I'd probably let the rest of them go, to be honest. Still, my number one transfer target for Liverpool would be Leno, the goalkeeper. Now, I chose Leno because right now, Simon Mignolet is your first choice. 78 overall. A lot of Liverpool fans think that Mignolet gets a bit too much stick, which I guess is fair enough, but Mignolet, 78 overall goalkeeper, he's not going to get any better than what he is right now, so I would recommend getting a new goalkeeper in to replace him for the long-term future, and I think Leno would be a fantastic choice. The only problem with Leno, as you'll see during this video, is that Bayer Leverkusen do not want to let the guy go at all, which is not a real surprise. He's only 23 years old and he's already 84 overall. He's got the potential to hit 88, I do believe, and the fact of the matter is, with enough training, with enough game time, with enough nurturing and good form, he's probably going to become one of the best goalkeepers in the game, not before long. So Leno would be my number one target. I'd also recommend selling on Jose Enrique as well. He's in the final year of his contract, and I wouldn't recommend renewing his deal either. I'd look for a younger option to come in and replace him. But as you can see with Bayer Leverkusen, Leno, they don't want to let go of the goalkeeper. It's not a real surprise. So you can keep on going in for him. As you'll see in this video, though, we don't actually manage to get hold of him. He would be my number one target. Maybe you'll get lucky and you'll be able to get him for a cheap deal. But basically in this video, Bayer Leverkusen would not accept any less than £42.5 million, as you can see confirmation right there. Now you might get lucky, you might be able to get him for a little bit cheaper, but personally speaking, there are other options out there which I'll discuss in a moment's time. Unless you get lucky and sign him for around £30 million, I wouldn't recommend spending the £42.5 million on him, even though he would be my number one target if you got lucky enough to see a bid get accepted. Regardless, Jose Enrique did get sold, and I did say that is one thing you should look to do. Try and sell on players who are in their final year of their contract and try and get as much money for them as possible whilst you still can. Cash in on them as much as possible. So Jose Enrique goes to Spurs, that's fine. And also you can see confirmation by Leverkusen just won't let go of Leno. So even though he's my number one transfer target for Liverpool, unless you really want to get him into your side, I'd recommend looking for a cheaper option unless you can get a bid of around £30 million accepted. I wouldn't go higher than that, personally speaking. Still following out, a big came in for Kolo Touré. He's another player I'd recommend getting out of the club as soon as possible. He's in his final year of the contract. He's already in his 30s. You're probably not going to give him a new deal. Try and get as much money from him as possible. We negotiated a £1.6 million deal with Southampton, I think it was, and that's just fine because he's on relatively high wages already for a squad player that's not going to play too many games. He's 34 years old. He's set to decrease in the first season. Just get a couple million if you can, or just £1.5 million. Better than nothing. Get him out of the club, get a bit of money in for him, and look for a younger replacement. So basically, just try and sell on the players that are in their final year of the contract. I'd only recommend giving John Flanagan a new deal, as I think he's the only one that has the potential to succeed at Liverpool and become a valuable member of the squad. But either way, if you can't get hold of Leno, like I said, he would be the number one choice. Another goalkeeper you could possibly go in for is this guy here, Mattia Perin of Genoa. Now, he's 22 years old, so 1 year younger than Leno, but he is 3 ratings lower. However, they still do have the same potential. Perin's potential is 88, Leno's potential is 88 as well. So if you can't get hold of Leno, I'd recommend this guy as your second choice for a goalkeeper to come in. I think Perin will be a really good option for you because even though I know that some goalkeepers won't grow in the first season or for a couple of seasons really, because EA don't usually increase the overalls of goalkeepers no matter what good form they're in until later on in their careers, because they think that all goalkeepers should peak at around the age of 30. Because of the player training feature this year, you shouldn't have to worry about it too much, because even if Perin isn't growing for you, you can use the training feature and boost him up yourself. So Genoa accepted an £18 million bid for Perin. That is £3.5 million over his valuation. I probably should have gone in with a valuation bid to test the water, but to be honest, £18 million is still a fair price to pay for a very good young prospect. So £18 million for Perin. Once again, you could probably get him a little bit cheaper if you're going for a valuation bid, test the water a little bit, but we get it sewn up for £18 million, and after the contract negotiations, eventually he says yes. That's also something I mentioned in my Arsenal and Manchester United who to sign for episodes. Sometimes you can get players on cheaper wages, but if the player doesn't exactly want to leave their club, you might have to pay basically exactly what they want, or even sometimes a little bit over the odds. You can see Perin was rejecting these contracts. He didn't feel the move suited him, but after you gave him 90 grand a week, crucial first team status, he would say yes. So Perin would be my second choice for Liverpool if you can't get hold of Leno. Maybe you'll get lucky and accept a £30 million bid from Bayer Leverkusen, but if you can't get that, I recommend getting Perin. For £18 million, he's only 2 ratings lower than Leno. 3 ratings lower than Leno, sorry, but they have the same potential at 88. He already starts off as well with 90 for reflexes, which is an insane stat for a 22-year-old goalkeeper who is just going to get better. So if you can't get hold of Leno, Perin would be my next choice for the goalkeeper position. I'd also recommend getting a new centre-back in as well with the money you've got left over, and my number one choice for the centre-back area would be Marquinhos from Paris Saint-Germain. Now, as you can see, he's valued at £14.5 million, 81 overall, 21 years old. The Brazilian centre-back looks very, very good indeed. PSG want £25 million for him, but you don't have to pay that much. We paid £18.5 million. And as you'll see, PSG come back to us and say that is fair enough. So £18.5 million for Marquinhos. Starts off as an 81 overall centre-back, so he's good enough to go into your first team straight away and replace someone like Lovren or Skirtle if you want, whichever one you would prefer to take out of the side. Put in Marquinhos straight into your first team, and he has the potential to reach 87 in the future. So a growth of +6. With enough game time at 21 years old in good form and player training as well, he could exceed that, possibly get into the 90s. Marquinhos will be my number one target for a new centre-back for Liverpool. So Marquinhos could come in, and that's a good option there for £18.5 million, which I think is a totally fine transfer fee. I'd also recommend recalling Markovic from Fenerbahce. He's on loan to the Turkish side for a season, but I'd recommend getting him back into the side. You would have to pay a small fee for the recall fee and also continue to pay his wages, but Markovic has a potential to at 84 in the future. He's 21 years old, 77 overall. He would be the ideal man to sit on the bench for you and bring him on late on in the game. Use his pace, run at tired legs. I think Markovic, getting back from Fenerbahce, who's on a season-long loan there, you don't have to spend the money on a new winger. Just get back Markovic. It only costs you 550 grand or something like that. It's not too much money to get back a good winger with good potential and someone who can also impact the first team straight away as well. With the money left over, there's not too much remaining, but I would possibly recommend getting a new left-back as well. Alberto Moreno isn't bad. He starts off at 77 overall and has the potential to 82, but I would recommend getting a new left-back. This is the guy I would recommend, Masuaku of Olympiacos. He starts off as a 75 overall rated left back, like Moreno, can also play on the left side of midfield as well. He's only 21 years old, 2 years younger than Moreno, 2 ratings lower to begin with at 75 overall, yes, but Masuaku has higher potential. He can reach 85 overall in the future, and of course with enough game time, player training, could possibly exceed that, get into the high 80s. I think he'd be a really good choice. If you want to keep using Moreno, that's fine. This guy will be a good backup left back to be on the bench, but if you want to maximise his game time, maximise the chance of him him hitting his potential and possibly exceeding that, I'd say get him into the first team right now, put Moreno on the bench, even though he's 2 ratings lower than Moreno, maximise that potential, get him in the first team, get him some game time, get him some good form, and get him growing right from the beginning. So Masuaku would be my third signing for Liverpool. And that will basically end the signings right there as well. So what you're doing with Liverpool is you're improving the first team with players like Pereira and Marquinhos and possibly Masuaku, depending on who you'd rather play at left back, him or Moreno. And you're also looking for the future as well. So I'd say that's probably the number one tip with Liverpool. You know, when you're buying players, don't think about having to bring in a headline star, because you've already got players in your team that could be headline stars in the future. Buy players that are just about good enough to go into the first team right now, that could also develop for the future and look really, really good in years to come. So Pereira, 88 overall in the future possibly, Marquinhos 87 overall in the future possibly, Masuaku 85 overall in the future possibly, and of course with enough form, enough game time, enough player training, they could possibly exceed that as well. So yes, £39.5 million for those 3 players, or around that much, is quite expensive, but once again, you're building for the future with Liverpool. You're looking for players that could be very, very good in years to come, and those 3 players would look very, very good in years to come. So those are my 3 recommendations for Liverpool. Just like I did with Arsenal and Manchester United, I decided to simulate towards the end of the season, come back and see how we looked and how Liverpool got on. As you can see in the league, they finished in 3rd place, only 2 points behind Arsenal, who won the title. So Liverpool get a place in the Champions League group stage for next season. I'm sure most Liverpool fans will take that come the end of this season in real life, get themselves back in the Champions League. So 3rd place finish for Liverpool in the Premier League. Pretty good season, I would say. In the FA Cup, sadly, they didn't even reach around the 16th stage, so that was a bit of a disappointment. However, they did win some silverware in the Capital One Cup, so finishing in the top 4, also winning a trophy as well. Very nice way to end the season. And in the Europa League, they reached the semi-finals as well, which isn't too bad for Liverpool, when they've also got their main objective of hitting the Champions League, getting into the top 4, and also finishing as winners of the Capital One Cup. So this is how the squad looks come the end of the season. As you can see, Pereira didn't grow any ratings, but once again, you can train him up yourself. I didn't do any training, so you can train him up yourself and get him better. Marquinhos grew 1 rating, and you'll also see as well at the end, I think Masuaku grew 1 or possibly 2 ratings as well. 2 ratings, there you go. So the players may not grow, really, really well in the first season, but again, this is because I'm just using the simulation. I'm not doing any player training. If you do the player training yourself and individually focus on those 3 players, they could get much better come the end of the season, and they would look like much better signings. So 3 really good signings right there. They set yourself up for the future. They improved the first team straight away. I'd recommend those 3 players for a Liverpool career mode. Once again, Leno would be my main target. If you can't get hold of him, Pereira's a decent second choice. And those are the 3 players I would recommend for a Liverpool career mode. Whilst also, don't forget to recall Markovic for a good option off the bench when you need some pace. But that does end this video, guys. So thank you very much for watching. Really hope you have enjoyed it. If these tips helped you for a Liverpool career mode, then please do leave a like. So it's much appreciated, and it really does help my channel out. I've been reading the comments. I know quite a few of you guys want me to do a Road to Glory video for who to sign for a Road to Glory team. I will get around to that very soon, but right now I'm just doing the bigger team. So let me know in the comment section down below what team you want me to do for my next who to sign for, and I'll get working on that straight away. So thank you very much for watching the video. Please do leave a like if you enjoyed the video. If the tips helped you, then let me know. Also let me know in the comments who you'd sign for a Liverpool career mode. Don't forget to tell me who you want to see me do next in the Who to Sign For series, and I'll see you for the next episode very soon.